Carl and Brendan here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhbl.com for short. We're doing something a little bit different here. One of these YouTube ideas that have been coming my way and thought, you know what? I like the sound of that. Let me throw it at Brendan. Let me have a go and see if he can decide between these two bands. Now, what this basically is, I have 20 either or questions. It's two bands that play in either the same genre of music, either have some connection in some way, and it's up to Brendan, and I will take part as well, but mainly up to Brendan to decide which one stays and which one goes. When I say go, it means the other one just goes. You will never be able to hear their music again. They're gone forever.
I have power here.
So basically, yeah, 20 of them, either or.
And I have to choose one of the two. I can't at any point say both of them are gone.
Nope, you've got to choose one of the two. I feel like I'd be able to predict a lot of Brendan's ones in these, but I also think there are some that have been purposely done difficult. I've taken inspiration from others in this, but I've come up with the list myself. Right. We begin then simply with Metallica or Megadeth.
Enough respect to Megadeth, but it'd be Metallica, I think.
Is that because of the history?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't got that. I haven't got anywhere near as big a history with Megadeth as much as I love Megadeth, and think they're great. I think Dave Mustaine's great. There's none of that sort of stuff. Just from an overall catalogue perspective and nostalgia and everything like that, I'm a Metallica fanboy.
Same here. Yeah, same here. I'll be choosing Metallica there as well. Ultimately, the influence is way more impactful.
Besides, I can just listen to the first two albums and it's all Dave Mustaine anyway, and that apparently. So.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, kill them all. You've got Dave Mustaine and stuff like that. So yeah, why the hell not? I think the next one's easy as well for you. Killswitch Engage or Trivium?
Trivium for me.
Yep.
Always been a fan of Trivium. I'm not a fan of Killswitch Engage either, but I've probably I've definitely been a fan of Trivium for longer. And I like them. I like the band. I like the musically, even though they have weaker hits, weaker albums, weaker songs. I don't know. I think overall, Trivium have the stronger catalogue as well, to be honest, out of the two bands.
It's there, what you just said at the end for me. That's why I would choose Trivium as well. It's the overall catalogue. I'm like, yeah, I like more Trivium than I do Killswitch Engage. Now the first one I think is tough. Sepultura, and that's all Sepultura. So we're talking Max Era and what? Oh my God,
Derek Green.
Derek Green. My God, that flew out of my head. It's been a long day. Sepultura or Soulfly?
Sepultura.
Oh, instant. My goodness, yeah.
Yeah, I was big on Soulfly in the debut album and Primitive, because that was coming out. That was like that new metal era, man. And it had like Corey Taylor rapping on songs and telling people to jump the fuck up, and that it was like it was banging at the time. But I wouldn't say that I stayed on board with Soulfly much after that. I kind of dabbled in and out of albums and songs here and there, but Sepultura, even with the Max era, there's more stuff in the Max era that, like album-wise, and there is even that I've listened to in the Soulfly catalogue. And then when Derek Green came in, and they continued to be a very strong band, with some of the more recent Sepultura albums being some of their best. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be the same, to be honest. Obviously, the only complication, the only reason you have to even doubt it, and I think it'd be why you might struggle a little bit more with it, is it's because it's Max, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you get rid of Soulfly, you keep Sepultura, but that ain't got Max in it. So it's like, I just got rid of Max Cavalera, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
But to be fair, we can keep Sepultura and Cavalera Conspiracy sorted.
Yeah, there's the two, isn't it? Actually, yeah, that's the right two. I mean, I pretty much echo everything you say there. I would choose Sepultura as well, even though for me, like, they both sort of, I don't know, maybe from mid 2000s to probably to about 2015, I never really cared about either that much. But as you said, Sepultura's last couple of releases, the last couple of years have been really, really strong. I think Soulfly have been putting out some good stuff in the last 2 to 3 releases as well. But it's the early Sepultura, the pre-Derek Green stuff that sways it for me. Iron Maiden or Judas Priest?
Priest stays, obviously.
Instantly again.
Tough one, like, in a way, because obviously, I've never personally, as a personal level, been the world's biggest Maiden fan.
Yep.
But I like enough of Maiden, and I have loads of respect and everything for what they've done in metal and what they continue to do.
Yep.
In metal, I've got nothing but love for Iron Maiden and nothing but regret that I'm not a bigger fan. I wish I was.
Yep.
But it's Judas Priest, man. You know, didn't get rid of Judas Priest. Fuck that.
Yeah, see, this is actually really hard for me. My heart tells me, obviously, you just go with Judas Priest. You love them. You consider them one of the best bands in the entire world. And, you know, I enjoy a lot of what they do in modern times. And then I'm like, but it's Iron Maiden. And although I'm not, like you, the biggest fan, the problem for me, the difficult part for me is the last couple of releases, I think Maiden have been as good as ever. Whereas Judas Priest, Firepower, things like that, there's good songs. And then there's just stuff that I just do not care about.
No, I get that. But there's also plenty of stuff in the Iron Maiden catalogue you don't care about.
Going back, you know, definitely more than that.
I'll tell you what, I'll switch my allegiance on this one if Bruce Dickinson gives us a banging Christmas album.
Okay, all right, yeah, because then we'll be getting rid of Rob Halford if we lost Judas Priest. So yeah, Judas Priest for me too. I think this is an easy one for you: Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin.
I'd keep Sabbath.
Yep.
Never really gave too much of a thought to Led Zeppelin. Didn't really cross my mind other than unless it was covered by somebody, to be honest with you. That's not to say that I don't, you know, understand that the impact they had on rock and people and hard rock and metal. But, you know, it's Black Sabbath. You know, I'm firmly in the camp of, I know there were people before and I know there were bands before, but firmly in the camp of like Black Sabbath gave us metal. So
on the strength of the first 4 albums, Sabbath for me, that's it. Whereas you know, I can listen to many of those 4 albums and later ones as well and thoroughly enjoy. Put a Led Zeppelin album on, I'm probably not going to be that high into it. I can appreciate, I can respect, but it's just never been my jam.
Yeah.
Blink-182 or Green Day?
Well, I mean, I probably wouldn't get rid of both if I could have the option, to be fair, because I don't massively despise Blink-182 in the way that I massively despise Green Day.
Yep.
You know, I'm pretty sure you would have known who I was choosing in this one out of the two.
I think so,
anyway. Yeah. But nothing but no. I've got no time for Green Day. Never have. Never got it back in the day. Never thought they was edgy or cool or anything like that. Just never ever worked for me. It's not like an American Idiot came out and then I started hating it. You know, I didn't like it beforehand.
Yeah.
I listened to plenty of Green Day stuff. Seen plenty of people sing Dookie on or Basket Case on karaoke. Probably sang it myself a couple of times, you know. But Blink-182, as much as I'm not a fan, I am a fan of some songs. The darker stuff, I Miss You, Stay Together for the Kids and that, you know. So on that strength alone, I couldn't honestly sit here right now and tell you a Green Day song that I would happily still listen to. There's not a single one.
Okay. I mean, I'm in the same camp for me, Blink-182. I mean, I grew up with both bands, Blink-182 and Green Day, but one always took preference to the other, and it was Blink-182. And obviously, body of work, Green Day wins on that. But ultimately, quality of work, it's Blink-182 for me. I'd choose Blink-182 on the strength of the self-titled album alone. That album is Blink-182's grandest piece of work. So yeah, for me, it's an easy Blink-182.
I didn't even know they had a self-titled album.
Well, it's the one with I Miss You on.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
No, yeah. So I'm on the songs camp. Like there are songs I like, but couldn't name you an album.
What was the last
one
about
your clothes? Take your clothes off.
It was the last one they did before they split up. Then they obviously reunited and did Neighborhoods, I think it was, but that was the last one before with Tom DeLonge in it. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, I think this one's hard. Doro or Lita Ford? Yeah.
You know, it's tough because it's tough on one side of it because I have one of them's not doing anything now.
Yep.
And the one that is doing stuff now, I didn't care about when I was younger. You know, as I've claimed more recently in other videos, like I class Lita Ford as the reason for me getting into the rock side of music. So on that basis alone, assuming this is some sort of like time machine thing, and we're going to get into like a paradox where if I remove Lita Ford, I may be sitting here now with a big gold chain with a $sign around it. And as a massive hip hop fan,
maybe
I'm going to have to keep Lita Ford, even though that's purely on that history. That's purely on the history, you know.
Yeah, for me, it's Doro, simply because one is doing stuff regularly, doing good stuff as well, and still a great live show as well. It's Doro. Emperor or Cradle of Filth?
Oh, that's a dickhead.
Yeah.
I mean, for overall, I'd keep Cradle, but I hate saying that because the idea of saying I'm getting rid of Emperor is quite a painful thing to say. I guess the only sort of positive I have out of it is that, you know, Emperor, aside from doing kind of tours and you know, comeback shows and stuff like that, I don't think we're ever going to see any new Emperor music. Eason, whatever, is plenty busy doing everything else that he does. So it's not like I'm losing much. You know, I'm still going to get his solo stuff, some of which is quite Emperor anyway.
Yeah.
You know, he's even got a little sort of side project with Matt Heafy from Trivium now.
Indeed.
You know, so I guess, I mean, Cradle of Filth, obviously Cradle of Filth, like my first ever show, fan of them since I was like young teenager, you know, which I know it might be surprising by how I look, was actually quite a few years ago, you know, so I couldn't imagine like how like metal without Cradle of Filth in my life.
Yeah, I second everything you said there. It's Cradle of Filth for me. I realized that when I chose this one, it was heresy, and black metal fans out there will be spitting teeth. Fuck off, we don't care. Cradle of Filth, body of work, impact upon personal tastes, and continuation of great music, still great live and so on like that. That's why, to me, it's an easy choice when it came down to it, really.
Yeah, you just feel bad saying it.
yes, because we do love Emperor, we do. Slipknot or Mudvayne?
Oh, absolutely Mudvayne.
Yeah?
Yeah, no problem. I've got no issue with that at all. I mean, we've got the one Mudvayne album that I know. I don't know if they ever did anything else. One that had Dig and...
They got a couple of albums, yeah.
Oh, there's only one that I know, though. That's the thing. I like because Mudvayne, again, of that era where a lot of the shit that was coming out, whether it was them or Static X or Spineshank or whatever was coming out, was all quite similar to it. So, you know, Dig was obviously the big kind of single, the big hitter that's still sort of famous today, you know, to anyone. And, you know, this is a song like, I don't know if you ever listened to it recently. It don't sound great anymore. It was of an era.
Wait, are you choosing Mudvayne as the one you want to stay?
No. I'm explaining why I'm getting rid of them.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And that's literally it. I mean, Slipknot, much bigger impact overall. Definitely the first two albums are absolute like classics in metal, rightly as well. Personal favourites probably Iowa out of two, but you know they're both bangers.
Yeah.
The most recent album really fucking strong, and a lot of good stuff in between. And while a little bit of the idea of getting rid of Slipknot might mean that Corey shushes for a bit, he's actually not been too bad in recent years, and a lot of the stuff he says is just about like that Machine Gun Kelly dude, which I kind of hope he keeps kind of ribbing anyway. So I don't even want to get rid of Corey at the moment. That's just quite nice. He stopped doing, well, at least I think he has, at least, or I've fallen away from it. He stopped doing Stone Sour, you know, so I don't have to dislike that. I haven't heard about him doing any kind of spoken acoustic tours or anything like that. So, you know, the Slipknot train sort of seems to be still being pushed and marketed. So, yeah, keep Slipknot around.
I owed there because I'm going to an event in October called For the Love of Horror, which is a horror convention, and Corey Taylor was announced for it. He's doing an acoustic show as well.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. And we didn't get tickets for that. We didn't want to do it. We were like, nah. But I feel the same about you in regard to this. In fact, Mudvayne, I care maybe even slightly less than you. I liked one track off that debut album, LD50, and it was Death Blooms. That track I thought was great. Re-listened to it recently and didn't quite hold. In fact, we did a track by track for LD50, myself and Lou, and it was a nightmarish trawl through new metal crap, really. After that, basically, I knew certain songs like Not Falling, and I knew that only because it featured heavily in that horrible movie Ghost Ship. Then obviously, I think beyond that, I just kind of know Mudvayne as the singer ended up joining Hell Yeah, and Hell Yeah came about, and I never cared for Hell Yeah either. Whereas Slipknot, you already said it, first two albums are classics. I'm also on the camp that Iowa is the best thing they've done. Got a lot of enjoyment out of Volume 3, Subliminal Verses, and All Hope Is Gone. And yeah, newest album's pretty good as well. So yeah, Slipknot, it's an easy one for me. There's Slipknot. Korn or System of a Down?
it's kind of tough, really, because like although I know Korn have improved their output, in my opinion, in recent years, a lot of this decision comes down to like back in the day.
Yes.
I was talking about the first sort of 3 or 4 albums from each band, really.
Yeah, I mean, well, System's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums. So System have 5 albums in total. So that's it.
Yeah, but one of that is it System who have an album called Steal This Album?
That's right. It's one of the ones I'm counting. Yeah.
That's that album I've never actually listened to.
It's all B-sides, man. I hated it.
Yeah. I think that's why I never listened to it, because it was all like rarities and things.
Yeah, we're talking about self-titled, Toxicity, Hypnotize, Mesmerize, and Steal This Album.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of Hypnotize.
Yep.
I know that was a slight different change up for the band from like the 2 previous albums, Toxicity and that. But I really enjoyed Hypnotize. I never really cared much for Mesmerize, whichever way around it, the second one, the one that starts with the full-length Soldier Side.
Okay.
Other than that one song, Soldier Side, which is also the only song I can remember from the album. And when I go back like to, I don't know, say the Sugar, that sort of days, while I thought it was quirky and wacky, I never loved it.
Yep.
Like, do you know what I mean? I wasn't blown away by, him screaming sugar in a high-pitched voice and stuff like that. I used to think it was funny. We probably didn't really appreciate it. And although it's not their fault, if I never hear Chop Suey again for the rest of my life, it would be too soon, to be honest with you.
Hell yeah.
But I would say that I think it wasn't today, it was like yesterday on a random shuffle, the song Falling Away From Me came on. And I could listen to many of the songs on Korn's first 4 or 5 albums, especially, to be honest, like Issues and that sort of era, because even more so than the debut in Life is Peachy. And yeah, so I'd keep Korn, I think, but I still continue to pretend the little middle section never happened, the dubstep era. We've got a new Korn album coming out, next week, in a week, 2 weeks time, depends when this goes out.
Yeah.
And that would be quite telling, because I might have to come back onto a video and say like, no, fuck them, they're out.
Well, the singles from this album have been solid Korn stuff. Like nothing blew me away, but nothing I hated either. No. So do you know what I mean? Like I'm on that front. Whereas obviously System not really doing anything kind of affects this. In my head, I'm choosing this between iconic albums that I listened to tons as a kid, and I hold up youngster, not kid, teenager, Toxicity and Follow the Leader were the 2. And I thought, which one would I want to listen to again these days? And I realized I don't want to listen to either. I don't. However, give me Issues. And I can still listen to Issues now and thoroughly enjoy it, predominantly everything. We did a track by track of Issues last year, I think, and that was a lot of fun. So for me, because of Issues alone, Korn.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how interested this one is for you, but I think it's really hard. Tool or a Perfect Circle?
Yeah, I don't really care. I'm going to get rid of Tool. And that's reaction is the exact reason why I'm getting rid of Tool, because I'm not that bothered about it. But, it's one of those things, right? If you love a band, I totally get it. If you properly love a band or appreciate a band, I totally get it. But the last 5, I don't even know how many years of will Tool get back together? Will Tool play? Like, to be honest, just got me to the point where I was like, well, I just fucking hope they never do now, so you all just shut the fuck up about it. Whereas a Perfect Circle, not exactly fucking smashing out releases or anything.
Oh, it's not prolific either, are they?
No, exactly. No. But it's weird as well, because like I've never seen either of them live. I don't think I've ever listened to an album in full in its entirety from either band. So for me, the best I can do out of this is be a bit of a dick and just get rid of Tool, because I know like nobody will want to get rid of Tool. Basically
being cranky about it.
Yeah.
This was really difficult for me. If you'd asked me this 4 years ago, I'd have said Perfect Circle, because of the body of work, Tool always had more of an interest to me. However, things changed from about 2019, I think it was released, or a little bit later than that onwards, when A Perfect Circle released Eat the Elephant. And I was blown away by that album, absolutely loved it. Saw A Perfect Circle live in a very, very packed Brixton, very uncomfortable Brixton, and it was an amazing, amazing show. Like Brendan, I got tired of the Tool talk. Are they ever going to release a new album? Are they going to release a new album? I generally got to the point when it was finally, oh, they are going to release an album called Fear Inoculum. I was like, it can't live up to the hype. We've done a Guns N' Roses Chinese Democracy here. It cannot live up to the hype. And then it did. And then it really fucking did. Everyone was like, yeah, this is a brilliant album. I listened to it. I wrote the review, gave it 9 out of 10. I fucking loved it. Tool stay. That's it.
It works out well if we both choose different bands, then they both get to stay.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, that's the way. We should just cheat all the way through. Okay, I feel like this one's going to be easy, but I had to find 2 power metal bands that matched up well enough. So I've gone with Blind Guardian or Powerwolf.
I'll keep Blind Guardian and Powerwolf for me, but that's, well, I mean, it's actually a fair few different reasons. I think Blind Guardian, from a total body of work thing, definitely have to keep them. More of a fan of Blind Guardian as much as I like Powerwolf. I never cared for Powerwolf until we saw them live at Bloodstock, when their live show made me more interested, and then I've listened to them much more in recent years than I ever did in the past. But I still haven't gone back into their back catalogue.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I haven't got like so into it that I'm like, oh, I need to get into the deep cuts and start finding pictures of them when they were first on stage, and But Blind Guardian, like, do you know, I don't know how many times I've watched people on YouTube react to them do the Bard song and Valhalla at Wacken.
Yep.
And every single time I watch it, it gives me goosebumps, man. And I watch it just for the gratification of watching other people telling me I'm right, they're amazing. So yeah, Blind Guardian all day long. That is an easy one.
Yeah, it's an easy one. Everything you just said there, it's simply the same sort of path in this one. Blind Guardian, easy. Okay, My Chemical Romance or Fall Out Boy?
Well, My Chemical Romance I'll keep. I don't care for Fall Out Boy.
Yep.
Really don't like it. Not. I can see the appeal, don't get me wrong, and maybe if I was, I know it's cranky and old to say this, maybe if I was like 20 years younger and that, like still getting smashed in pubs every single kind of weekend and like looking for those kind of club nights and things, and that Fall Out Boy sort of stuff was coming on then, I'd probably be bang into it.
Yep.
But when I'm sitting in my car or I'm walking around the local supermarket doing family food shopping, like Fall Out Boy ain't what I want to be listening to. But My Chemical Romance, weirdly, I never, because like obviously anyone who watches any of our videos knows I'm a dick about things like that kind of era, that kind of emo pop punk sort of.
A fair dick though, come on.
Yeah, I think so, because I'm not like anti all of it. There's a lot I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
But I never disliked My Chemical Romance, and I think the Black Parade album is a masterpiece. To be honest. Yeah,
in fact, you can go check out our track by track, mine and Brendan's track by track on the Black Parade to get our thoughts in detail on that album. I think we're both in the same camp on that one. It should be noted, as of the time of recording, you can actually go check out a track by track that was done very recently between me and Lou on Fall Out Boy. We did Infinity on High, the first time I'd ever given a full Fall Out Boy album a go, and I had a lot of fun with it. I was very, very interested and enjoyed way more than I thought. However, still don't rate them, still can't believe they're the size they are. And for me, like, it's an easy My Chemical Romance purely on the 2 albums, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, which has some bangers on it, and of course the Black Parade. Twisted Sister or Motley Crue?
I'll keep Twisted Sister. I'm not as big a fan of Twisted Sister as you are. I'm not even as big an appreciator of them overall, like as a band. But even though I've never, this is kind of weird, right? The glam side of things never really became my jam. Yeah. Like at any point in my life, aside from a few bands that maybe got close to it, like Skid Row, for example, but they didn't go so far with the glam side of things that, like, they weren't coming out on stage in dresses or anything like that. It was just the sort of tone and the high pitched singing that made people call them glam.
Yeah.
You know, so I never really got that big into it. So musically, while I know obviously, like we all know the big Motley Crue hits, and of course I know, you know, the Twisted Sister stuff. I just have so little love and respect for Motley Crue. It's unreal. You know, none of the stories I ever read or have ever read about Motley Crue make me think anything else other than, God, this band of dicks. Whereas Twisted Sister, it's the opposite. They do things that appeal to me, you know, whether it's just like, you know, the front or whatever, like it doesn't matter, you know, the front man is still the band. You've seen them like in court fighting censorship and, you know, that sort of thing, while simultaneously, you know, Motley Crue are shouting about how many lines of coke they did off a hooker's tits the night before. And it's like, while that sounds like a good night, don't get me wrong, it's still like, you know, that kind of image of metal. You kind of got one band in there trying to fight for the fact that we're actually, you know, deserve freedom of speech and things like that. And then you got another band doing everything they can to kind of make the parents go, no, fuck that, don't let them speak. So yeah, I mean, sorry, obviously I keep Twisted Sister.
Yeah, I mean, this is an easy one for me. If anybody knows anything about me, it's that I would, of course, chosen Twisted Sister. Musically, they've always appealed way more. Even though I didn't grow up liking this kind of music, I really didn't care for it all beyond the hits. However, what Brennan said there, while some people may take controversially, I'm not in my head along, man. I'm not in my head along. I have never, and I never will understand the appeal of Motley Crue. The hits, they're okay. They're all right. They're catchy. You can put them in a rock pop and all that. But fuck that band, man. Like, I got no time for the bullshit that I've read, seen, heard, and all that kind of thing. I watched the Dirt documentary or thing on Netflix with my hands on my eyes half the time, thinking, what a bunch of cunts. I would urge you to go and check out the actual documentary, proper documentary that covers, it's about 2 hours long, basically the early portions of Twisted Sister's career. It is fascinating. It will make you love that band even more. But also go read Dee Snider's autobiography. Forget the music. Forget what I know about each particular band. If there's one reason to keep Twisted Sister, it is because of Dee Snider. One of the most underrated and arguably most important figures in rock and metal. Yeah, agreed. Nightwish with Tarja or Nightwish with Floor?
Trying to think of the logistics of if you get rid of the band, does it just leave the singer? And would I still like them if there was just a singer?
I guess it's just the body of work.
Do you know, this is like it. Okay, my answer, and this is controversial to me even, is I would choose to keep Nightwish with Tarja.
Yeah.
Now, the reason for this is, and I think Nightwish with Floor are amazing. This is not a diss Floor. There's no better. I mean, I'll argue it like it at some points because she's got a different style to Tarja. You know, like obviously the songs that Nightwish release these days obviously are way more suited to Floor.
Yep.
And Floor can also pretty much sing everything that Tarja could. So I think overall, Floor is probably the best front woman for that band, and actually suits the band probably more so than Tarja ever really looks like she did. She was like a I don't know, like a guest performer.
Yeah.
On stage with the band, whereas Floor looks like the front woman of Nightwish. But the problem is that I don't really, like my Nightwish journey started with getting into the music that with Tarja. The best songs I've seen live, even at recent things, are when Nightwish are still playing the songs that are from the era with Tarja.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. Like, I guess in a way, what you're doing here is almost choosing an era of Nightwish.
Basically, yeah.
And if I'm choosing an era of Nightwish, I still want to be listening to Oceanborn and, you know, Century's Child and, of course, Once, you know, which is the album that really got me into them.
Yep.
You know, don't really care for the middle ground stuff, to be honest with you. You know, there's a few songs with the, I can't remember the name, is it Annette Olsen?
Annette Olsen, yeah.
And the latest, most recent Nightwish album, while I listened to it, nothing stuck with me from it.
Right.
I'm like sitting here now, I can't think of a song like, but I know when I listened to Once the first time around, man, you know, there were songs on that album, like Nemo and stuff like that, like I Wish I Had an Angel. I was playing that album for months. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's the era thing more than anything else. And when I put it in my head and I think, which would I prefer to listen to right now? Although I care very little for Nightwish, full stop, this these days. I guess I can easily choose Tarja as well because Floor Jansen is a great vocalist who does other music. So she'll be in a band no matter what. Whereas Tarja just does her own thing and I don't pay attention to it. This one I thought was hard until I took into account the last year.
Okay.
Creator or Exodus? So two thrash metal giants.
Yeah, for me it's Creator. I'm a big fan, as you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange, I guess, like, because even though like getting into metal and that, like thrash was really the starting point because it was like coming from the early Metallica, days and listening to Megadeth and Slayer and stuff like that. There are plenty of bands within the thrash area that I've probably listened to, but I don't remember ever really being a fan of when I was younger. And Exodus are one of those bands. And Creator were too.
Yeah.
However, if you go like, I don't know what, I'm trying to think like when God the Violence, that album came out, it's got to be like 3 years ago now. So I would say like in the last 3 or 4 years when my Creator hat kind of got firmly put on, and that started really with that album, and then we saw them play during the day at Bloodstock on a little kind of 40-minute-ish set on the main stage. Then we've done some reactions to their stuff, listened to them a lot more, paid more attention to the band. They're nice people, they do good interviews, and then saw them headline Bloodstock. That's my last few years of Creator.
Yeah.
And while Exodus released a really, really strong album last year, Persona Non Grata, which I do like and I do play quite regularly, I'm just weighing up those kind of 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? I've got a headline show, a middle of the day show, a banging album, wanting to do reactions to them and everything like that. And then I'm like, oh, and I just got into this one Exodus album. So for me, I've got to keep Creator.
Yep, good shout. I mean, you've got a lot more detail than I will. I'll just simply say that neither band I grew up really listening to or liking. It's mainly the last couple of years that I've given them more time. However, Creator win it out purely because I was skeptical about their live performances, but was shut up by being them proven to be the best headliner of Bloodstock last year, even eking out Devin Townsend, which I never would have predicted happening before. So there you go. 2 dick bands for you to choose between.
Yay.
Do you want to keep Guns N' Roses around or do you want to keep Kiss around?
I keep Guns N' Roses around. This is an easy one for me. It's Use Your Illusion 2.
Yeah.
That's it. Like genuinely 100%. I have a playlist on my phone which only has 4 songs in it, and they're 4 songs from Use Your Illusion 2.
Yeah.
Because every now and then I get an urge to listen to Civil War or Knock on Heaven's Door or the alternative lyrics of Don't Cry. I can't remember the 4th one is now, but because those songs, like, to me, I know that Appetite for Destruction is Guns N' Roses' best-selling album, I believe, and probably the one that most people talk about.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But I can promise you right now, like if I'm playing the Guns N' Roses song, 99% of the time that song is coming from Use Your Illusion 2.
Yeah.
Which was the last ever Guns N' Roses album released.
I was going to say, what?
Yeah.
What?
As far as I'm aware. Kiss, I don't dislike Kiss, but Kiss represented a lot of stuff I didn't like when I was a bit more, when you're like idealistic and stuff like that, this idea that you could go out and buy Kiss toothbrushes and Barbie dolls and everything like that, I found quite weird. Like, because then metal, when I was first getting into it, it didn't seem like it was like that. There's a lot of great Kiss songs, man, but like that I really like. Again, like Kiss for me are a greatest hits album band.
Yep.
We have reacted to, what did we react to? Love Gun?
Love Gun, yeah.
And that was a struggle, man. Like a couple of good hitters on it, that was a struggle. Whereas, I don't care. I don't even know if they will, but I don't care if either band release anything new anymore. That's the truth of it. If somebody announced to me that Kiss were releasing a new album or Guns N' Roses were releasing a new album, I don't really care, to be honest. They can just do what they want now. So for me, it's just on nostalgia, and nostalgically, like Use Your Illusion 2 pisses over anything Kiss have done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Body of work, it's simply body of work. And although Guns N' Roses have nowhere as much albums, music released as Kiss, the quality speaks for itself. A very long time ago, we're going back a few years ago, I'm pretty sure we did do a track by track for Guns N' Roses, but I think we did Use Your Illusion 1 on the basis that we would eventually get the Use Your Illusion 2 and so on. Or we've also done, we have done Appetite for Destruction, but me and Lou did Appetite for Destruction. So go check those out. And Kiss, of course, Brennan said it was a track-by-track for Love Gun. That's the only Kiss album we've done to date. There's a lot to get through there. Future shit, man. All right, 3 more. Slayer or Testament? Now, I put Testament with Slayer purely for this reason. If I put any other thrash giant alongside Slayer, Slayer would win every time. The one I thought would be the hardest to choose between was Testament, because I think Testament are awesome.
Yeah, I also think Testament are awesome, but I still would keep Slayer over Testament.
Yeah.
You know, I know, like, I don't want to be that guy chatting Slayer down a camera, but, you know, Slayer are Slayer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of bands in metal, you kind of feel like you have to do a little bit of a description about a band when you say it, but like Slayer are just Slayer.
Yeah.
Absolutely pivotal to death, kind of thrash death metal genre, especially the heavier side of it. Bands like Testament, I'm sure, would say they were influenced by Slayer.
Yep.
And while I know Slayer are, in theory, done, you know, probably are 100% done from a album perspective. Who knows if they'll eventually come out of retirement for another show or something like that. And Testament are still active.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest reason to want to keep Testament, because, you know, future material. But how do you get rid of that whole Slayer catalogue and the impact they've had on metal?
It's that, isn't it? It's the catalogue more than anything else. Although if you ask me, the last couple of years I've enjoyed Testament more than Slayer. Like, I enjoyed Testament's body of work than what Slayer put out before they wrapped up their career. The early stuff, do you know what I mean? The early stuff, we did Rain and Blood as a track by track, and it was as good as now as it was back then. I remember us just fucking creaming ourselves over it in that track by track, man. Okay, I'm going to skip that one because that should be the last one, because I think it might be the hardest one yet. So I'm going to jump to this one. I think this is easy for you. Maybe Gojira or Mastodon. So I've gone for 2 progressive bands here.
I'll keep Gojira.
Mm-hmm.
And that never really got too much on board the Mastodon train. Don't dislike the band. I've got nothing against the band. I like a few songs here and there. But Gojira are game changers, as well as being the band that I think I don't, you know, whether it lasts forever or not, but at least as of right now, are the only perfect show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, weirdly with Gojira, you know, not in terms of the quality of their output, because I can totally appreciate that their recent stuff is still pretty fucking awesome. But in my personal taste, it's on a bit of a downhill curve.
Yeah.
But then it still has a considerable way to travel down that mountain before it gets to where I feel about Mastodon anyway.
Okay. So it's harder for me because I think Mastodon are an incredible band. However, what swings it is live. Gojira live, I've seen them a handful of times. Brennan's referenced one show a couple of years ago at Brixton, but I also think of, when they first played the undercard at Bloodstock during the day, that was incredible, but also as headliners of Bloodstock a few years later. I've seen Mastodon headline Bloodstock and phone it in, as far as I was concerned. Phone it in. I've seen Mastodon play Brixton Academy and it be very good, but not something that stands out on my memory. I've seen Mastodon play in the middle of the day at Download, when they were only playing like 35, 40 minutes, and knock it out of the park. So I couldn't fucking understand what the hell the deal was. It seems like get them in, what depends on the mood. But musically, Mastodon do more for me, body of work, than Gojira do. However, Gojira are more the complete package, so Gojira.
Good shout.
Last but not least, Machine Head.
I was wondering when they were going to come up.
Or Pantera.
Oh, that's a dick one. That's a rough one, isn't it?
It is. Now, of course, we are talking Pantera, Cowboys from Hell onwards, not pre-Cowboys from Hell.
But I guess if we're going to omit 2 or 3 Pantera albums, then I can choose to omit 2 or 3 Machine Head.
Well, no, because that's the middle. I know you're going to say it, but that's the middle part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, God. First time I've been truly stumped, because everything I think in my head I can then counteract with the other band. You know, my obvious go-to would be to say Machine Head, because Machine Head are the band I've loved for the longest and had the greatest influence on me overall. But that's not too far removed from being true about Pantera.
Yeah.
The reason I'm going to keep Machine Head is simply, I'm going to have a reason for this, and it's going to be, in terms of top quality albums, in my opinion, Machine Head have more top quality albums than Pantera do. Pantera have 4, Machine Head have 5.
Yeah.
First 2, Through the Ashes, The Blackening, Onto the Locust.
Okay.
Machine Head albums. And obviously on the Pantera side, Reinventing Hell or Reinventing the Steel.
Yeah, Reinventing the Steel, isn't it?
Is nowhere near the quality of the likes of Great Southern Trendkill, Vulgar Display of Power.
Can I throw something in to see if this makes a difference? One of those bands has one of the best live albums ever, and it's not Machine Head.
2 of those bands have 2 of the best live albums ever. Pantera's 3, Pantera 3,
101 Proof
is the best live album ever, 100%. But Hell Alive isn't far off that either, especially
that's so controversial.
But I was there, and that's why it means so much to me. I was at the recording of Hell Alive. You know, when the crowd are shouting and that, I remember shouting the things, and that's the problem for me. It's almost like it's too personal. This is not like in any way a diss to Pantera, because this is the only one, like, if I could, you know, throw in wild cards and stuff like that, where I have everything you put across, where I'd 100% like struggling to choose between the 2. You know, because like and I'll keep talking myself out of it. We can do this all night now, because now I'm like, how can I get rid of the Great Southern Trendkill? That's like my favorite Pantera album. You know, but yeah, I don't know. It's just overall impact, I guess. I'm trying to pick out like nuances to try and use that as my reasoning, and that's why I can do, you know, 4 studio albums from Pantera that are amazing, 5 studio albums from Machine Head that are amazing. But then I've also got The Burning Red, which I like. I've got Supercharger, which has some good songs on it. Yeah. I've got Bloodstone and Diamonds, which I think is a strong album. While Catharsis is not a strong album, Catharsis has a handful of very, very strong songs on it.
Yep.
As well as recent things by Machine Head, like Rob Flynn, where he did his bit on the Oceans Everyone I Love Is Broken song. You know, so when I add them all up together, you know, it's difficult for me to get rid of Machine Head, because, I mean, it's only even that EP was like my favorite album of last year, and it's not him, but he's still featuring there in my musical influences.
Right, cut you off there. Then you said Machine Head before you change your mind. I agree. I think there's the other, like, although it's not music related, ultimately, as annoying and idiotic as Rob Flynn can be, he's not Phil Anselmo, who is a massive problem at fucking times. You know, so there's that to take into account as well. I agree with Machine Head, but I do on the basis that Ashes and Blackening are 2 of the strongest albums in metal, let alone Machine Head. Those 2 just there alone. You could almost say 3 with The More Things Change over Burn My Eyes, and put them 3 together and say they are great metal albums. But ultimately,
the problem comes from, because then you start going, but yeah, so is Cowboys from Hell, Vulgar Display of Power, and A Great Southern Trendkill.
Yeah, there is that as well. But you made a point as well, like later albums when Pantera don't exist anymore. It's not like Machine Head was putting out shit. Bloodstones and Diamonds, Unto the Locust, these aren't bad albums. That's the thing. These are good albums. In your case, Unto the Locust is a great album, as you said. So for me, it's Machine Head as well. There you go. 20 either ors. What would you have chosen? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?